Hello my lovely Flosstube friends, welcome back to the channel. So today I decided it seems as though I need to sit here and stitch on one of my full coverages, that I would do it as a stitch with me, because the house is nice and quiet. I don't have very long, so I might actually record this over 2 mornings and try and sort of do 2 mornings worth of stitching on it. As you can see, it's Peacock's Lagoon by Heaven and Earth Design. I'll put below who the artwork's by. This is one of the ones that came up on my Whip Go back. Can't remember if it's February's, one of February's or one of March's, but needless to say, because my life has been so crazily busy, with holidays and life, I didn't actually get round to doing and completing my Whip Go. So I've still got this project. I think it's this project. This project was scheduled to have 2 days worth of stitching back in February, and I've got a couple of my projects that I didn't get to in March. So I'm trying to sort of incorporate in the month of April to see if I can catch myself up on my Whip Go, so that I don't feel like I failed before we've even started it in the year. So hold on, let's just do some counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there's my 10 mark. Fabulous. Always helps when I know where the end of the row is. So what to tell you all? I've been missing in action. I know I've been missing in action, but there has been so much happening. So back in February, I took my husband away to the Caribbean for a nice holiday for his 50th birthday, which was absolutely glorious. That's our first holiday that we've had since even before lockdowns. So when we first went into lockdown, when COVID happened, I was actually in Arizona with the lovely Deborah and my friend Mary. And literally when I flew back in on the weekend, lockdown happened on the Monday, so I never went actually back into the office. But that was my last actual holiday that I'd had, of which was not with my husband. So we was both trying to work out when we went on holiday before that, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was the year before that. So it's been around 4 years, I think, since we'd been away. So yeah, it was like, he's 50. It makes total sense that we incorporate a celebration such as his 50th birthday, not in the UK where it's freezing cold, but somewhere fun and exciting. So that's what we did. It was fabulous, absolutely fabulous. We done like a surprise. So rather than us just go away on our own, we've got some friends at our gym that, I mean, Darren's at the gym 5 times, sometimes 6 days a week. And him and Paul train together all the time. And his partner, Kaylee, although I don't train with her, I know her really well, and we all get on really well. So we done a surprise at the airport. So Paul and Kaylee were coming away with us. He didn't know that. He had no idea that they were coming. And basically, we had to try and navigate ourselves to the airport, get through passport control and into departures, and checked in for the flight without Darren actually knowing that they were there. So you'd think that that's easy. It's a lot harder than it seems. So it was, it was tense, because what we ended up doing was Paul and Kaylee ended up staying at a hotel at London Gatwick so that they could be there half an hour earlier than us and get through the check-in and passport control first. And then they went and camped out in departures in the Witherspoons, because Darren has had this thing since I don't know when. I can't even remember him never doing this. So there's a thing that when we go to the airport to go on holiday, Darren has to have his obligatory fry out breakfast, because we don't have fry out breakfasts in general. So he has his fry out breakfast, and then he'll have a pint of beer with it. That's the thing at the airport. It's like that's the start of his holiday. So because I knew that won't have changed, we arranged for Paul and Kaylee to sort of camp out there in hiding, and that when we turned up, the way it works at Witherspoons is you find your table and then you can go on an app. There's like an app on your phone, and you put in your table number and you order your breakfast from there. Now, Darren being Darren, he's always been the one to sort of pull the app out and do all the things. And I just sort of sit there and tell him what I want. Now, luckily for me, he needed to use the bathroom. So that gave me time. I said to him, well, look, I'll go find the table. I'll go find the table. You come and meet me. So that gave me time to work out where Paul and Kaylee were, which thankfully they were up on the second floor overlooking us, so they could see us, but he couldn't see them, which was, that was hilariously funny. So they was up out the way, camped out, and I quickly got the app up on my phone and started ordering my food. But instead of ordering it to my table, without Darren's knowledge, we was actually ordering it to Paul and Kaylee's table. So when he come back from the toilet, I'd already sort of started. So that was my way of making sure that he didn't control the app and ordered the food to our table. So we ordered the food to go to Paul and Kaylee's table. And looking back on it, I was probably acting the strangest, like the strangest wife ever, because everything that I was doing was like, I was like in mini panic that he was going to try and take over, or that he was going to try and change something and ruin the plan. But yeah, it was quite funny, because I'm sitting there looking at Paul and Kaylee up at the top. He has no idea that they're there. The food obviously got delivered to them. And Darren was saying, God, it's taking me ages to get this beer. So whilst I'm sitting there trying to sort of distract Darren and talk to him, I'm trying to text Paul to say, get one of the waiters to bring Darren's beer, because he's starting to get the hump because he's waiting so long for his beer. So, yeah. When Darren realised what was going on, because when Darren's food turned up at their table, Paul and Kaylee came down and handed him his breakfast. And then that was when obviously Darren was aware that actually we're not going on our own, and that his friends were coming away. But even then, like as soon as Paul turned up at the table with his food and was like, your food, sir, Darren was sort of looking at him with total confusion, like, I'm not quite sure what's going on, as if to say, like, what, you're here, why are you here just to hand me my breakfast? So, but then I think the penny dropped. But even then, although the penny had dropped, Darren didn't realise that they was actually going to be going for the whole holiday. I think he thought that they were only going to come for a week. But I'm like, no one's going to go on I think it was, how long was that flight? I think it was 9.5 hours worth of flight. I was like, no one's going to do a 9.5 hours flight for a week. Certainly not from the UK. That's because by the time you've flown 9 hours out and then 9 hours back, you certainly don't get a week holiday. So yeah, it was lovely. And the surprise, we managed to surprise him. Even afterwards, I sort of said to him, did you have any idea? Because we'd been planning this. So we flew out in February and we booked the holiday, I think in like, I don't know, July, August the year before, because we was originally supposed to have been going to Mexico. And then after we'd booked, I'd paid in full. And then there was an issue with the flights because London Gatwick, Heathrow, or was it? No, London Gatwick weren't flying to Mexico because they were cancelling all the flights because there wasn't enough baggage attendees at the London Gatwick airport. So because of that, we had no choice but to change destination. They did offer us another flight or another option to get to Mexico for the February, but it would have been an indirect flight. Now, the flight to Mexico from here is around 11 hours, which is a long flight anyway. But they wanted us to do... So basically, for the same amount of money, arguably a bit more money, they wanted a bit more money, and they wanted us to fly indirect. So it's not going to be cheaper, it's going to be more expensive. And instead of it being an 11-hour flight, they wanted us to do a flight with I think it was a 6-hour stopover somewhere else, and then onward bound from there, and then the same coming home. And I was like, there is no way I'm paying more money and flying for even longer. That's just not happening. So hence the reason why the decision was made that we're not going to Mexico. Darren was really upset about that because Darren's been gagging to get to Mexico for some time. But then obviously we found this really nice hotel at the Dominican Republic, and yeah, he succumbed. He succumbed and accepted that actually the Dominican's fine. So, but what he didn't know was when we cancelled our flights, or when our flights got cancelled, and they were saying to us, you know, you've paid in full, so you need to pick another destination or get a refund. Darren was saying, well, they've got to give us a good deal. We've got to get an amazing deal for that because they're the ones that have cancelled, not us. But what he didn't know was that Paul and Kaylee hadn't paid in full. So when there was a problem with the flights, their tour operator just cancelled them, which then left us in the situation that they had no bargaining chips. So if the holiday had got really expensive for most people, but then me and Darren had got a deal, Paul and Kaylee might not have been able to go because, you know, everyone's on a budget when it comes to a holiday. So it would have been that actually they couldn't go because they wouldn't be able to afford the holiday. So yeah, let's just say there was a whole bunch of stress trying to get that holiday arranged, and with his friends there without him knowing. I didn't think it would be that hard, but actually it was a lot harder than it appeared. But when we got out there, we had a glorious time. Hold on, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 2 more. So it was lovely. We had such a wonderful time. Everything about that holiday was totally different to how it normally is. So normally when we go on holiday, we have like a set routine. I mean, I don't know if other people are like this. When you go on your holidays, is there like a set routine that you and your partner or you and your family have? But normally me and Darren, we do have like a bit of a set routine where, you know, it's a holiday for everyone at the end of the day. It's not just his holiday. It's not just my holiday. So we always make sure that, we get our own time to do the things that we like to do. So for me, of course, that's my stitching. Normally I would lay on a beach all day long and then come off the beach. Normally come off the beach by about anywhere between 4, 5 and 6, depending on how hot it is and depending on whether, we're chatting, whether Darren's playing volleyball. But normally anywhere between 4 and 6 I'd come off the beach. But then when I come off the beach, I shower up and then I need a nap. I do love a good nap. And I'll go off and have my nap. Darren will go off to the gym. He'll leave me alone for an hour. And then he'll come back normally with a cup of coffee in hand to wake me up. We get ourselves ready. We go out for dinner. Sometimes we watch the show, but normally by about 9 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock after the show or whatever, the entertainment that's on for the night. Once the main part's over, I'm normally done. I'm normally like, yep, that's me done. Darren, on the other hand, is the night owl and normally makes lots of friends. So for him, he'll go to the sports bar, make friends, and go hang out with others. At that point, normally I'd go up to the room, get in my jimmy jammies, and then sit and do a spot of stitching. So when I'm on holiday, I'm not saying I get a lot of stitching done, but I normally get a bit of stitching. And then first thing in the morning, because I'm a morning person, I'll go and sit on the balcony with my stitching and do some stitching whilst it's really early morning, whilst Darren sleeps. And the set deal that we have is he can do what he wants, when he wants. He can get as drunk as he wants. And he can come in when he wants. I don't care what time he comes in, but he has to come to breakfast with me at 8 o'clock in the morning, regardless. I don't care how drunk he is. I don't care how late he came in. He has to come for breakfast with me. So this is like the deal that we normally have. So I was anticipating that, this holiday would be no different to any other holiday because there's no reason why it should be. And would you believe it? It was so different. It was ridiculous because I don't know. I'm still, even to this day, I am still questioning what was different. What was different this time versus any other time that we've been on holiday. Now, bearing in mind, me and Darren before COVID and before we started doing all the build stuff, would go on holiday every year, sometimes twice a year. With Lauren, even when she was little, we still had this setup that we've become accustomed to. So I had to ask myself the question, well, what is different? What is different this time versus any other time that we've been away? And I still can't work it out. I don't know whether it's because it had been so long since we've been on holiday that then when we was actually away, we just thoroughly enjoyed spending quality time together. We've been away with Paul and Kaylee before, not for 2 weeks, but we've been away for like 10 days with them. We went to Jamaica with them. We went to Cape Verde with them. And even on those occasions, our routine was still the same. I would still stitch in the morning. I would still sit and stitch in the evening, and I'd come back to the room at a fairly reasonable time at night because partying, I've never been a real great drinker, so I've always been the one that's been on like, lemonades and the like. So when everyone else starts getting, not leery, but when everyone's had a few drinks, I feel like I'm not on the same level as them sometimes. So at that point, I'm happy to just go back to my room and do my own thing. But yeah, this time was so different. This time was ridiculously different. I was like, I didn't see it coming. It was, let me just count backwards. Hold up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we're going from there. So yeah, I still don't know what was different this time versus any other time. To me, it seemed, I don't know. It seemed really different because I didn't really want to. Hold up. 1, 2, 3. I didn't want to stay in and do my stitching. And I thoroughly enjoyed being out, and I thoroughly enjoyed having a drink this time round, and I thoroughly enjoyed the evening entertainment, but also there was a casino there, so we went into the casino. We met some very, very wonderful Americans. There was a big group of them, about 15. They went out, slightly older than us, but they were absolutely lovely, and we kicked it off with a number of them. So most of the evenings, whenever we went out, if they were round by the bar, we'd end up chatting with them, and then they'd go into the casino, and we'd watch the show, we'd do a bit of dancing. So yeah, everything about this holiday was just so different to any other holiday. But it was lovely. It was totally lovely. It was very disappointing to have to come home, because we went from 30 degrees to -3. And trust me, I felt that. I felt that like you wouldn't believe. On top of which, I got sick literally an hour before we left the hotel. So I had to travel while I was sick. And then even for the first few days home, I was not feeling my best. As you can hear at the moment, I'm not my best now because I came down with something else after being at the retreat. Well, I felt fine when I went to the retreat, and I got to the retreat on Thursday night. Friday I was fine. Friday night, through the night, I woke up and I was thinking, come on, my throat's a bit tickly. By Saturday, my throat was a little bit more than tickly, and by Sunday it was like, I waited till lunchtime at the retreat, everyone went in for dinner, and I was like, I just got to go home. I'm starting to feel pretty dreadful. And since the retreat, I've felt pretty dreadful. So basically worked from home the whole week, feeling really dreadful. I've barely done any stitching again because I was even too sick to stitch, believe it or not. So, and even now, it's the second week. I'm in the second week of it, and as you can hear, I'm still not quite there, but I'm starting to feel more like me, which is always a good thing. So there you go. There's my little short and sweet session. I didn't quite make 100 stitches, but time is ticking on, and I have to start work now. So I have no choice but to call that. I just thought I would do a little stitch with me. Give you a little update about how the holiday went. Obviously, I'll talk more about my holiday on some upcoming videos. I do have some plans to try and do my monthly update on Good Friday because I'm very behind. I wanted to try and get it done this weekend, just gone, but with how I was feeling and the fact that my throat still hasn't been right, I was like, there's no way that I can do a video and do all the talking. I'm struggling enough with this, and I'm actually keeping my voice very low to try and stop it from doing it. So yeah, that's not worked either. But yeah, plans for the Easter weekend are to record my monthly update, which will cover February and March because I haven't been able to get one up. and update on all of that. On Sunday, I'm planning a live stream, so fingers crossed my throat improves a little bit more. Otherwise, I'll just have to, people will just have to grin and bear it. And the plan is that the Easter weekend will consist of a lot of stitchy time because hubby's away Saturday, Sunday and Monday. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a me weekend, truly, and to actually get caught up with Flosstube and, just try and start getting things back on track because I still feel like I'm a bit out of sync with the way things should be. But it is what it is, right? Life gets in the way. We all know that. And my life is very, very busy currently. So, okay. Lovely to hang out. Lovely to sit here and actually do a bit of stitching and in the nice quiet house whilst it's still quiet. Unfortunately for me, work is about to start. So my peace and quiet is over for today. But yeah, until next time, people. Bye-bye for now.